You see her across the room. She hasn't said a word, but you already know if she likes you. You know if she trusts you. You know if she sees you as weak or strong. How? Because her body already told you everything. And here's the truth that nobody wants to admit. She didn't choose to tell you these things. Her body betrayed her secrets before her mind could stop it. Welcome to the shadow mind. Today, we're going deep into something most people are too afraid to discuss. The hidden language that women speak without ever opening their mouths. And we're using the teachings of the most dangerous mind in history to decode it. Niccolo Machiavelli, the man who wrote the book on power, the man who understood that what people say means nothing. What they do is everything. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Think about that. Everyone sees the mask, the smile, the polite words, but very few people see the truth underneath. And that truth? It lives in the body, in the small movements, the tiny adjustments, the things she does when she thinks nobody is watching. Let me tell you something that will change how you see every interaction for the rest of your life. When a woman walks into a room, she is scanning. Her eyes move fast, faster than you notice. She is looking for threats, she is looking for allies, she is looking for value, and she is looking for weakness. All of this happens in 3 seconds. 3 seconds before she even decides if you are worth her attention. Now here's where it gets interesting. Machiavelli taught that the wise prince must learn to read the intentions of others before they reveal them. He said, "You must observe not what people say they will do, but what their nature compels them to do." A woman's body language is her nature speaking. It is the raw, unfiltered truth that her words will never tell you. Let's start with something simple. Her feet. Yes, her feet. Most people look at faces. They watch hands. They listen to tone of voice. But Machiavelli would tell you to look where others don't look. Look at the feet. When she stands talking to you, where do her feet point? If they point toward you, her body wants to be near you. If they point toward the door, toward another person, toward anywhere but you, then her body is trying to escape. She might smile. She might laugh. She might say all the right things. But her feet are honest. They point to where she truly wants to go. Machiavelli said, "Men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that one who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. People deceive with words, but the body obeys necessities. It reacts to what it feels, not what it wants you to believe. Her feet obey the necessity of comfort or discomfort. They move toward safety and away from danger. And if you are danger, her feet will tell you before her mouth ever does." Now let's talk about space. When a woman feels safe, she takes up space. She leans back. She crosses her legs away from her body. She places her bag down instead of holding it like a shield. But when she feels threatened, when she feels uncomfortable, when she senses weakness in you, she closes up. She makes herself smaller. She pulls everything in tight. Arms crossed, legs crossed toward her body, bag on her lap. She builds a wall without saying a single word. Machiavelli understood fortresses. He wrote about how princes build walls to protect themselves from enemies. A woman does the same thing with her body. When you see her close up, she is building a fortress. And you are the enemy she is protecting herself from. Not because you did anything, but because something about you triggered her instinct. Maybe you seemed too eager. Maybe you stood too close. Maybe your energy felt desperate. Whatever it was, her body reacted before her mind could process it. Here's what most men get wrong. They think if a woman is talking to them, she is interested. Wrong. Talking means nothing. Machiavelli said, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." Words are just tools. She will say what she needs to say in the moment. But her body tells you what she feels about the future with you. Watch her body, not her words. Let me give you an example. She's talking to you at a party. She's laughing. She's smiling. But her shoulders are turned away. Her torso faces the room, not you. Her weight shifts from foot to foot. These are exit signals. She is preparing to leave. Her words say stay, but her body says go. Who do you trust? Machiavelli would tell you to trust the body. Always trust the body. And here's the darkest truth of all. She knows you are watching. On some level, she knows. Women are taught from childhood to manage their image, to control how they appear. But the body cannot lie forever. Stress leaks out. Discomfort shows itself. Fear reveals itself in micro-movements she cannot control. And if you know how to look, you see everything. You see the truth she is trying to hide. You see the desire she won't admit. You see the disgust she covers with politeness. This is power. Real power. The power Machiavelli wrote about. The power to see what is real instead of what people want you to see. Now, let's go deeper. We've talked about feet and space. But there's something even more powerful. Something most people never notice because they're too busy trying to impress her with words. I'm talking about her hands. Her hands will tell you secrets that her face tries desperately to hide. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, because it belongs to everybody to see you, to few to come in touch with you." Everyone watches the face, the smile, the eyes, but few people watch the hands. And that's exactly where the truth lives. When a woman is nervous around you, her hands betray her. They touch her neck. They play with her hair. They fidget with jewelry. These are not random movements. These are self-soothing behaviors. Her body is trying to calm itself down because you make her feel something. The question is, what does she feel? If her hands touch her neck, she feels vulnerable. The neck is one of the most exposed parts of the body. When she covers it, even slightly, she is protecting herself. From what? Maybe from judgment. Maybe from rejection. Maybe from the intensity of her own attraction to you. Yes, attraction can feel like danger, because attraction means loss of control. And women hate losing control. Watch what she does with her hair. If she plays with it while looking at you, if she twirls it, if she pushes it behind her ear slowly, she is grooming herself. This is a display behavior. Like a bird fluffing its feathers. She wants to look good for you. But here's the twist. If she does this while looking away, while talking to someone else, you are not the target. She is grooming for someone else in the room. Machiavelli taught that a wise man observes who benefits from an action. Who benefits from her looking beautiful right now? If it's not you, then you are wasting your time. Now, let's talk about barriers. Women create barriers with their hands all the time. She holds her drink in front of her chest. She clutches her purse. She keeps her arms folded. These are shields. Machiavelli understood defense. He knew that people only defend when they feel under attack. So ask yourself, why does she feel the need to defend herself from you? What threat do you represent? Sometimes the threat is not what you think. Sometimes she shields herself because she likes you too much. Because letting you in feels dangerous. Because she has been hurt before. and her body remembers pain better than her mind remembers promises. So she protects herself automatically. This is not personal. This is survival instinct. Machiavelli said that all men are wicked and will act wickedly whenever they have the chance. She believes this in her bones. Every man is a potential threat until he proves otherwise. And proving otherwise takes time. Time and consistency. Here's something crucial. When a woman drops her barriers around you, when her hands relax, when she stops fidgeting, when she opens her palms toward you, she is giving you trust. This is rare. This is valuable. This is power being transferred from her to you. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But with women, there is a third option. Be safe. Be the one person in the room who doesn't trigger her defense mechanisms. Be the one whose presence makes her body relax instead of tense up. Most men try to be exciting. They try to be impressive. They try to be the most interesting person in the room. And all of this creates tension. Tension makes her guard go up. Tension makes her hands move faster, fidget more, build more barriers. Instead, create calm. Machiavelli understood that the best rulers are those who maintain stability. Be stable. Be calm. Be the eye of the storm while everyone else is chaos. Watch what happens to her hands when you do this. They slow down. They open up. They reach toward you instead of protecting from you. Now, let's talk about touch. When does she touch you? Where does she touch you? How long does the touch last? These details matter. Machiavelli said the ends justify the means. What is the end goal of her touch? Is she guiding you somewhere? That's functional. Is she emphasizing a point in conversation? That's expressive. Is she touching your arm and letting her hand linger for just 1 second too long? That's exploratory. She is testing the waters. She is seeing how you react. She is giving you permission to reciprocate. But here's the trap. Some women touch everyone. They are naturally touchy people. This means nothing. What matters is contrast. Does she touch you differently than she touches others? Does she touch you more? Does she touch you in places that require more intimacy? A touch on the shoulder means less than a touch on the forearm. A touch on the forearm means less than a touch on the hand. A touch on the hand means less than fingers that interlock, even briefly. Machiavelli taught that appearances must be maintained. She will maintain the appearance of propriety. She will not touch you inappropriately in public. But she will test boundaries. Small touches. Brief contacts. Accidental brushes that are not accidents at all. If you miss these signals, you miss your opportunity. If you overreact to these signals, you appear desperate. The key is to match her energy. She touches your arm, you touch her arm. She pulls back, you pull back. This is the dance. This is the game. And Machiavelli would tell you that those who play the game best are those who understand that patience is more powerful than passion. Let me tell you what happens when you rush. When you grab her hand too early. When you put your arm around her before she's ready. Her body recoils. Maybe just a little. Maybe so small you don't notice. But it happens. The shoulders tense. The smile becomes fixed. The breathing changes. And trust dies. Machiavelli said that injuries should be done all at once. But with women, advances should be made slowly. One small step at a time. Each step building trust. Each step earning permission for the next. Let's talk about the eyes. Everyone tells you to make eye contact. Everyone says, look into her eyes. But nobody tells you what to look for when you do. The eyes don't just receive information. They give it away. And if you know how to read them, you can see thoughts forming before they become words. Machiavelli wrote, The one who adapts his policy to the times prospers, and likewise the one whose policy clashes with the demands of the times does not. The eyes adapt to the times. They adapt to the situation. They adapt to the emotion. When she looks at you, her eyes tell you what time it is. Is it time for trust? Is it time for retreat? Is it time for something more? Watch how long she holds eye contact. If she looks away quickly, every time, she is either uncomfortable or uninterested. Both mean the same thing for you. Move on. But if she holds your gaze for 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, something is happening. She is allowing you into her space, not physical space, mental space. Eye contact is intimate. It requires vulnerability. When she gives you sustained eye contact, she is saying without words, I see you. I allow you to see me. But here's what most people miss. Where do her eyes go when she looks away? If she looks down, she is being submissive. She is showing deference. She might be shy. She might be attracted and overwhelmed by it. If she looks to the side, she is thinking, processing, deciding what she thinks about you. If she looks up and away, she is dismissing you. She is already moving on mentally, even if her body is still standing there. Machiavelli understood that the appearance of virtue is more important than virtue itself. A woman understands this instinctively. She will look at you the way she thinks she should look at you. If she wants to appear interested but isn't, she will force eye contact. And you can tell it's forced because it feels wrong. The eyes are empty. They look at you, but not into you. They perform interest without feeling it. This is the mask Machiavelli warned about. Learn to see through it. Now, let's talk about pupils. Yes, pupils. Most people don't know this, but pupil dilation is involuntary. She cannot control it. When she looks at something she likes, something that excites her, her pupils expand. When she looks at something that disgusts her or bores her, her pupils contract. This is biology. This is raw, unfiltered reaction. If you are close enough to see her pupils and they dilate when she looks at you, her body is saying yes, even if her words say nothing. But distance matters. You cannot read pupils from across the room. You need proximity. And getting proximity requires that everything we've talked about so far is working in your favor. Her feet pointed toward you, her hands open, her barriers down, her touch exploratory. Only then can you get close enough to read the final signal, the signal she cannot fake, the biological response that reveals desire. Machiavelli said, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception." Reading body language is not force. It is deception in reverse. She deceives with words and smiles and polite conversation. You decode with observation and patience and strategic awareness. You don't force her to reveal anything. You simply watch what she reveals naturally when she thinks you are not looking that closely. Let's talk about blinking. Normal blink rate is about 15 to 20 times per minute. When someone is attracted, interested, or emotionally engaged, they blink less. They don't want to miss anything. Their eyes stay open longer. They take you in fully. But when someone is anxious, uncomfortable, or lying, they blink more. The body tries to shut out the source of discomfort, even momentarily. If she is blinking rapidly while talking to you, something is wrong. Either she is nervous, which could be good or bad, or she is uncomfortable, which is always bad. Here's a dark truth. You can use eye contact as a weapon, not to harm, but to test. Hold her gaze just slightly longer than comfortable. Not creepy long, not aggressive long, just long enough that she has to make a choice. Does she hold it? Does she break it? How she responds tells you everything. If she holds it and smiles, you have green light. If she holds it and looks confused or uncomfortable, you pushed too far too fast. If she breaks it and looks down, she might be shy but interested. If she breaks it and looks away with no emotion, she wants you gone. Machiavelli taught that fortune favors the bold. But boldness without awareness is just recklessness. Be bold enough to hold eye contact. Be aware enough to read her response. And be strategic enough to adjust based on what you see. This is how princes maintain power. They push boundaries. They test limits. But they always watch the reaction. And they adapt. Now let's talk about the eyebrows. When she sees something that surprises her, something that interests her, her eyebrows raise. Just for a split second. This is called an eyebrow flash. It happens unconsciously. If you walk up to her and her eyebrows flash up when she first sees you, she recognizes you as non-threatening, maybe even as desirable. This is a positive sign. But if her eyebrows stay flat, stay low, or even furrow slightly, her body sees you as a problem to solve, not an opportunity to explore. Watch what her eyebrows do when you speak. If they raise during your stories, she is interested. If they stay flat or drop, she is bored. Women are better at hiding boredom with words than men are. She will nod. She will say, "Uh-huh," and "Really?" and "That's interesting." But her eyebrows tell the truth. Machiavelli wrote that the wise man should always be learning. Learn to read eyebrows. Learn to see interest dying before it completely dies. Then change the subject. Change the energy. Save the interaction before it's too late. Now we move to something most people completely ignore. Her breathing. Yes, breathing. You think breathing is automatic, meaningless. But Machiavelli would tell you that nothing is meaningless when it comes to reading human nature. He wrote, "Wise men say, and not without reason, that whoever wishes to foresee the future must consult the past." Her breath connects past trauma to present reaction. When she feels safe, her breathing is slow and deep. When she feels threat, it becomes shallow and fast. You can see this if you pay attention. Watch her chest or her shoulders when she breathes. If her shoulders rise with each breath, she is breathing from her chest. This is stress breathing. This is fight or flight preparation. Her body is getting ready to run or defend. Why? What did you do or say that triggered this response? Maybe you stood too close. Maybe your tone changed. Maybe you said something that reminded her of someone who hurt her before. You don't need to know why. You just need to know that right now, in this moment, she does not feel safe. Machiavelli understood that perception is reality. It doesn't matter if you are actually safe. What matters is whether she perceives you as safe, and her breath tells you her perception. If you notice her breathing becoming shallow and fast, you need to create distance. Not physical distance necessarily. Emotional distance. Soften your voice. Slow your movements. Give her space to breathe properly again. This is strategic retreat. Machiavelli knew that sometimes you must step back to move forward later. But when her breathing is deep and slow, when her belly rises instead of her shoulders, she is relaxed. She is in rest and digest mode, not fight or flight. This is when real connection happens. This is when her guard is down. This is when she will tell you truths she wouldn't tell you otherwise. Not because you manipulated her, but because her body decided you are safe enough to be vulnerable with. Let's talk about breath synchronization. This is advanced. When two people connect deeply, their breathing starts to match. You breathe in, she breathes in. You breathe out, she breathes out. This happens naturally when rapport is strong. But here's the secret. You can create it intentionally. Watch her breathing pattern, then match it. Breathe when she breathes. Slow when she slows. This creates unconscious connection. Her body recognizes the rhythm and feels familiarity. Familiarity breeds trust. Trust opens doors. Machiavelli said, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. When her breathing is calm around you, she is driven by love. Not romantic love necessarily, but comfort, ease, the opposite of fear. When her breathing is agitated around you, fear is present, and fear closes all doors. No woman moves toward what she fears. She might stay out of politeness. She might talk out of social obligation, but she will not open up. She will not let you in. And eventually, she will leave. Now, let's discuss something that makes most people uncomfortable: her throat. When a woman is attracted to you, blood flow increases throughout her body. You can see this in her throat. The pulse becomes visible. You can see it beating. This is arousal. This is excitement. This is her body responding to stimulus it finds pleasurable. If you are close enough to see her pulse quickening in her throat, and it happens when she looks at you or when you touch her, you know exactly what her body wants, even if her mouth says nothing. But the throat also reveals anxiety. When she feels threatened, she will touch her throat. Cover it with her hand. Adjust her necklace. Pull at her collar. The throat is vulnerable. Animals protect their throat when they sense danger. Humans do the same. If her hand keeps going to her throat while you talk, you are the danger. You are the predator her instincts warn her about. This doesn't make you bad. It just makes you wrong for her, or wrong in this moment, or wrong in this approach. Machiavelli wrote, "It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. It is not your words that create attraction. It is how your presence affects her body. Does her pulse quicken in excitement or in fear? Does she cover her throat to protect or to draw attention to it? These details separate men who get what they want from men who wonder why they always lose. Let me tell you about voice and breath together. When she is attracted, her voice drops slightly. It becomes softer, breathier. This is unconscious. She is not trying to sound sexy. Her body is producing this sound automatically. The breath supports the voice differently when arousal is present. Listen for this change. If her voice starts normal and then drops, becomes softer, becomes more intimate, her body is moving toward you emotionally even if her body hasn't moved physically. But if her voice becomes higher, tighter, more controlled, she is moving away. High voice equals tension. Tight voice equals guard up. Controlled voice equals performance. She is performing interest or politeness, but feeling neither. Machiavelli taught that appearances deceive. A high, tight voice appears friendly, but it reveals distance. Learn to hear the difference between genuine warmth and performed pleasantness. Here's what powerful men understand. Every conversation is negotiation. Every interaction is strategy. Not manipulation, strategy. You are trying to create an outcome. She is trying to protect herself. These two things can coexist. You can pursue what you want while respecting her boundaries. You can read her signals while giving her choice. Machiavelli said, "The ends justify the means, but the means must be intelligent." Forcing gets you nothing. Reading gets you everything. When you pay attention to breath, to pulse, to voice, you become the man who sees what others miss. You become dangerous in the best way. Dangerous because you cannot be fooled. Dangerous because you know when to push and when to retreat. Dangerous because you play the game consciously while others stumble through it blind. We've covered feet, hands, eyes, breath, and voice. But now we need to talk about the whole picture. Because body language is not individual signals. It's a symphony. Every movement works together to tell one complete story. And the men who win are the men who can read the entire story, not just isolated sentences. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "There is nothing more difficult to take in hand, more perilous to conduct, or more uncertain in its success than to take the lead in the introduction of a new order of things." Reading body language is introducing a new order into your life, an order where you see truth instead of performance, where you understand reality instead of believing illusions. This is difficult. This is perilous, because once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you understand how bodies reveal truth, every interaction changes forever. Let's talk about congruence. This is the most important concept in reading body language. Congruence means everything matches. Her words match her tone. Her tone matches her posture. Her posture matches her breathing. When everything aligns, she is being genuine. When things don't match, she is hiding something. Maybe hiding disinterest. Maybe hiding attraction. Maybe hiding fear. Your job is to notice the mismatch and ask yourself why it exists. She says she's having a great time, but her feet point to the exit. Her arms stay crossed. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. This is incongruence. Her words say one thing. Her body says another. Machiavelli would tell you to trust the body every single time. Words are cheap. Words are easy. Words are tools of deception. But the body is expensive to control. The body requires conscious effort to lie. And most people are too lazy or too unaware to maintain a physical lie for long. Here's an example. You're on a date. She tells you she loves your stories. She says you're so interesting. But while she says this, she checks her phone 3 times. She looks around the room. Her body angles away from you. She is lying. Not maliciously. Just socially. She is being polite, because that's what women are trained to do. Be nice. Don't hurt feelings. Smile even when you want to leave. But her body cannot maintain the lie. It tells you the truth. You are boring her. And if you cannot see this, you will keep talking, keep boring her, keep losing her, until she finally makes an excuse and leaves. But what if you can see it? What if you notice the incongruence early? Then you have options. You can change the subject. You can create movement. You can suggest something different. You can read the room and adapt. This is what Machiavelli meant when he said fortune favors the bold. But boldness without awareness is stupidity. Boldness with awareness is power. Now let's talk about clusters. Never read one signal alone. Always look for clusters. 3 signals that point to the same conclusion. She leans toward you. That's 1 signal. She touches your arm. That's 2 signals. She holds eye contact and smiles. That's 3 signals. Now you have a cluster. Now you have confirmation. She is interested. But if only 1 signal is present, you have nothing. She might lean toward you because the music is loud. She might touch your arm because she touches everyone. She might hold eye contact because she's a confident person. 1 signal means nothing. 3 signals mean everything. Machiavelli said, "Men ought either to be well treated or crushed, because they can avenge themselves of lighter injuries, but of more serious ones they cannot." In body language terms, this means you either commit to reading signals properly or you ignore them completely. Half-reading is dangerous. It makes you paranoid. It makes you see things that aren't there. It makes you miss things that are there. Either learn this skill fully or don't use it at all. Partial knowledge is worse than no knowledge. Let's discuss baseline behavior. Before you can read changes in her body language, you need to know her normal. How does she normally stand? How does she normally gesture? How much space does she normally take up? This is her baseline. Once you know her baseline, you can spot deviations. And deviations are where truth lives. If she normally stands with open posture but suddenly closes up around you, something changed. If she normally makes lots of eye contact but avoids yours, something shifted. The change tells you more than the behavior itself. Here's how to establish baseline quickly. Watch how she interacts with other people before she interacts with you. Does she touch other people? Does she lean in when others talk? Does she laugh easily? Now compare that to how she acts with you. Is it the same? Better? Worse? The difference reveals her true feelings about you. Machiavelli understood that comparison reveals truth. Don't just look at her behavior. Compare her behavior with you to her behavior with others. That's where you find the answer. Now, let's talk about control and submission. These are uncomfortable words, but they are real dynamics. In every interaction, someone leads and someone follows. Someone sets the frame and someone accepts it. Body language reveals who holds power in the moment. If she mirrors your movements, you have power. If you mirror hers, she has power. If she matches your energy level, you lead. If you match hers, she leads. Neither is good or bad, but knowing who leads matters. Machiavelli wrote, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." But with women, there is another option that Machiavelli didn't write about because he was advising princes, not lovers. The option is mutual respect. Not love, not fear. Respect. When her body language shows respect, she maintains her own space while acknowledging yours. She doesn't collapse into you. She doesn't pull away from you. She exists in equilibrium with you. This is rare. This is valuable. This is the foundation of something real. How do you know if she respects you? She maintains eye contact but doesn't stare. She touches you but doesn't cling. She shares space but doesn't invade. She asks questions but doesn't interrogate. She shows interest but doesn't chase. Everything is balanced. Everything is measured. This is a woman who knows her value and recognizes yours. This is different from attraction. Attraction is chemical. Respect is conscious. And respect lasts longer than attraction ever will. Let's talk about ending interactions. Most men don't know when to leave. They stay too long. They talk too much. They overstay their welcome. And her body tells them to leave long before they do. She shifts her weight repeatedly. She glances at her phone. She looks toward other people. Her responses get shorter. Her laugh becomes forced. Her smile becomes tight. These are exit signals. She wants the interaction to end. And if you cannot read these signals, you destroy any chance you had, because she will remember you as the guy who wouldn't leave, the guy who couldn't take a hint, the guy who made her uncomfortable. Machiavelli said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." The fool eventually leaves when she makes an excuse or walks away. The wise man leaves when he sees the first exit signal. He leaves while she still likes him. He leaves before he becomes annoying. He leaves with her wanting more instead of wanting less. This is strategic. This is powerful. This creates mystery. And mystery creates desire. Here's your advantage. Most men don't pay attention. Most men are trapped in their own heads. They worry about what to say next. They stress about being impressive. They focus on themselves instead of observing her. This makes them blind. and blindness is weakness. But you, now, after everything we've discussed, you have sight. You can see what her body says. You can read signals others miss. You can adapt in real time. You can know when to advance and when to retreat. This is power. But with power comes responsibility. Machiavelli understood that power used poorly creates enemies. Power used wisely creates allies. Don't use this knowledge to manipulate women. Use it to understand them. Use it to communicate better. Use it to avoid wasting your time on women who aren't interested. Use it to recognize women who are interested but too shy to say so. Use it to create better connections, not to exploit vulnerable people. Here's the final truth. Body language is a conversation. She speaks with her body. You speak with yours. And the best interactions happen when both people are fluent in this language. When both people can read and respond. When both people understand the dance. You cannot control her body language. You can only read it and respond appropriately. She cannot control yours completely either. Your body will betray your nervousness, your desire, your uncertainty. And if she's paying attention, she reads you just like you read her. Machiavelli's final lesson in The Prince was this: a prince ought to have no other aim or thought, nor select anything else for his study, than war and its rules and discipline. For you, the study is not war. The study is human nature. The study is observation. The study is reading what people reveal when they think they're hidden. Make this your discipline. Practice it every day, in every interaction. Not just with women you're attracted to, with everyone. Read the cashier. Read your boss. Read strangers on the street. The more you practice, the sharper your skill becomes. And when you master this skill, you will walk through the world differently. You will see deception before it completes. You will spot opportunity before it passes. You will understand people in ways that feel almost supernatural. But it's not supernatural. It's just observation. It's just discipline. It's just the willingness to see what others refuse to look at. This is the shadow mind. We go where others fear to go. We speak what others refuse to say. We reveal the truths that live in darkness. And now you have the knowledge. The question is, what will you do with it? Will you use it wisely? Will you use it with respect? Or will you use it recklessly and create chaos? The choice, as always, is yours. But remember, those who play with fire sometimes get burned. And those who read body language without wisdom sometimes create enemies they never intended to make. Thank you for going deep with me today. If this opened your eyes, share it with someone who needs to see. And remember, the body never lies. Learn to read it, and you'll never be deceived again.